Hey, did you eat yet? I'm Victor, and it's currently AAPI month, and today, I wanted to dive into a topic I've always been passionate about, and that's being Asian American. What does it mean to be Asian American? As a first generation 90s kid, I had no idea when I was growing up. We didn't have a lot of people that looked like us in the media at the time. We weren't really in movies, sports, music, so we were influenced by the things around us, even if they weren't what our immigrant parents knew. We found things we could relate to, regardless if they stemmed from other cultures, and found respectful ways to bridge these things together. And I think that's what being Asian American is. This is especially true for a new generation that's cooking up Asian American food in the Bay Area. It's not traditional by any means, and that's not a bad thing at all. Maybe it's not authentic to you, but it is authentic to these chefs, because it's based on their own personal experiences and upbringing.
Everything's kind of inspired by what we grew up with. When we were growing up, we realized that you could pair that marinated meat with different styles of food that we grew up. So like the bulgogi cheesesteak, I'm sure a lot of Korean American families grew up on a bulgogi sandwich of some sort.
The Bay Area is a melting pot of so many different cultures, and it's only natural that we get inspired by what's around us and want to inject some of that into our food.
I grew up in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood. My weekends were like, I would go eat pozole or birria at somebody's house. Weekdays, my mom would be making Cantonese or Vietnamese food. I just felt like meshing those made sense.
What's important is truly understanding how to properly marry the flavors and recipes with other cultures' cuisines, and vice versa, and doing so respectfully. In this episode, we're gonna highlight some of my favorite Asian American food in Oakland and around the East Bay. Now, let's go eat.
My name's Sincere Justice. I run a pop-up called Taco Sincero.
Taco Sincero is a Chino-Latino pop-up run by Sincere, based out of Oakland. I had previously covered Sincere in a taco tour video, but couldn't have an episode about Bay Area Asian American cuisine without chatting with him.
I started Taco Sincero because I grew up in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood, Baldwin Park. My weekends were like, I would go eat pozole or birria at somebody's house. Then weekdays, my mom would be making Cantonese or Vietnamese food. LA is really common, you'll see like Chino, Latino. I just felt like meshing those made sense in my mind. I just thought it would be fun.
Sincere makes some of my favorite food in the entire Bay Area, and his menu is always creative and changes constantly depending on what's currently inspiring him.
It's so many different things, so many people's different experiences, you know? Everybody's got an angle from which they're coming from. I mean, yeah, you have to understand like the foundation within which the recipe came from and what makes that the foundation. And then you can find where your riff is and where you're gonna make, what flavors you're gonna meld together. Because not all of it works, you know, and like if you're fusing two different things but they just clash, then that becomes confusion versus fusion, you know?
I've been eating Sincere's food for the last few years now, where I've had his sandwiches, tacos, burritos, tostadas, desserts, drinks, dinner plates, whatever he makes, he never misses. Over the last couple years, he's been serving some of the most creative and tasty tostadas you can find. Some of my favorites I've had from his tostada menu are a sriracha chicken tinga, a 12-hour braised brisket with a dobanjang glaze, and their bean cheese and kimchi. A recent item he's added onto his menu was inspired by a Frito pie, but with Szechuan flavors and Cool Ranch Doritos. There's always something new to try on his menus, and I promise it's always a flavorful experience. Follow him on Instagram to find out where he's popping up next. Is there anything more American than barbecue? What if I told you the best Texas barbecue in the Bay is being made by an Indonesian couple, Fik and Reka? Fikscue opened up in Alameda recently, serving up your traditional Texas barbecue items, but also some amazing Indonesian favorites. The couple has created a menu that introduces customers to Indonesian cuisine while also adding in so much depth with smoked meats into the dishes. Open only on Saturdays and Sundays for now, doors open at 12. We got in line at 11:30, where a small line had already formed. Towards the front of the line, Fik and Reka came out to greet some of the first customers in queue, and we got to meet them and chat a little bit. We also got some burnt end samples while we waited, and Reka took our order beforehand just to speed things up. The line moved quickly, and we definitely over-ordered, but I couldn't help it. The whole menu sounded amazing, and I just wanted to try everything, and I'm glad we did. First up, the Texas barbecue lineup. Just look at the spread. Brisket, dino ribs, sausages, and chicken. The smoked brisket, some of the point, some of the lean, some burnt ends, great smoke ring and bark, just delicious. The beef dino rib, super juicy, tender, fatty meat. The jalapeno and cheese sausage was great too, and the chicken was smoked super well with great seasoning. Easily some of the best Texas style barbecue I've had in the Bay. Now let's jump to the other half of the menu, with the Indonesian dishes. First, the rendang plate. Slow cooked curry with smoked brisket with kale curry and a spicy egg over rice. The smoky, tender brisket complemented this dish perfectly. We also got the balado plate, another rice plate with brisket with a sambal sauce on top. For the sides, the Indonesian fried rice was so damn good. The slaws were done so well and complemented the heaviness of the barbecue meats. Shout out to this Indonesian sweet tea too. Just an amazing meal we had at Fikscue, fusing elements of two different cuisines into something so great. I'm not super familiar with Indonesian food, and this was a great introduction to some of these dishes, which is further elevated with the smoked meats. Oaks Deli makes my favorite sandwiches in Oakland, hands down. Originally a pop-up, they opened up their brick and mortar shop in Oakland a couple of years ago. Imagine your classic deli, and now imagine that you have some Asian Americans running it. The menu is reflective of that, and is extremely creative and exciting each week. With a few permanent fixtures to the menu, there's also some seasonal items that are only available for weeks at a time. Everything at Oaks Deli is made in-house, from the sauces, the proteins, and most importantly, the bread. Each sandwich has a custom-made specialty bread type that goes so perfectly with its respective sandwich fillings, which is why they don't allow for customizations. I've been to Oaks a lot lately, and I'll usually just have it in the car or I'll take it home, but also I finally went to sit outside there to eat recently. Starting off with one of their staples, their house banh mi is up there as one of my favorite banh mi's you can get in the Bay. With the lemongrass pork, daikon and carrots, the rest of the fillings, everything is made in-house, and it's a damn good sandwich. During crab season in the Bay, Oaks was offering a kanikatsu sandwich, which has a crab patty taking inspiration from Japanese crab croquettes. It's deep fried perfectly and served on their signature sesame bun. I was also able to get their ebikatsu sandwich one time, the shrimp version of this. These are easily two of my favorite sandwiches I've had this year. During my most recent stop at Oaks, I also got their sisig bolillo, full of pork sisig, onions, a sunny side egg, Thai bird chilies, all on their house bolillo. It was so damn good. There were zero misses on this diverse sandwich menu, drawing inspiration from all different Asian cuisines from Vietnamese and Japanese to Filipino. I'm obsessed with Oaks Deli. Their constant creativity with their sandwiches is inspiring and is a prime example of Asian American food in the Bay. Sunday Bakeshop is an Asian American, French-inspired bakery that celebrates the ingredients and sweets we grew up with. Located in the Rock Ridge area of Oakland, Bay Area pastry chef Elaine Lau opened up here in 2021, creating amazing baked goods that can really only be described as Asian American. You won't find these types of pastries at any other traditional old school Asian bakery. With menu items like the red velvet white rabbit cookie to the char siu Danish, the menu is super inspiring to me. The items are nostalgic and capture the essence of growing up both Asian and American. Everything just works. They're not trying to force Asian flavors onto their baked goods, and it's delicious. First up, the ube snickerdoodle cookie. And then the red velvet white rabbit cookie. It's crazy. Next, the lychee black tea chiffon.
Done.
The pistachio twice baked croissant.
Oh, this is hella good.
The strawberry matcha croissant bun.
This piece is for Victor. This is for me.
Oh wow, look at that filling inside, babe.
Wow.
Good shit, guys. Good shit.
And lastly, the char siu Danish. Sunday Bakeshop is incredible, and everything we get here is always hella good. Miharu is an AAPI-owned ice cream shop in Oakland that just opened up recently. With amazing flavors drawing inspiration from Indian spices all the way to Japanese teas, everything here is delicious. The mugi cha is my favorite, a roasted barley tea ice cream. But literally every flavor takes you on a different journey, especially if these types of flavors are personal to you as an Asian American. Amazing stuff, and a must stop after a meal if you're in the area. Mama Chos is a Korean American fast casual eatery and butcher shop in Castro Valley, with a big menu of traditional Korean dishes, but also a ton of options that are Korean American and Korean Mexican inspired. I got the chance to meet up with Hans, the founder of Mama Chos, in the Lake Chabot Public Market.
My name is Hans Cho. I am the co-founder and president of Mama Cho's Barbecue. When I was younger, I always wanted to open up a Korean restaurant just because back then we didn't have a lot of representation. Our background is we actually have a wholesale meat business. We've been providing Korean barbecue to a lot of Korean restaurants and markets all over the Bay Area for over 42 years. Everything's kind of inspired by what we grew up with. Obviously, we have the traditional Korean barbecue, a lot of the meats, but when we were growing up, we realized that you could pair that marinated meat with like different styles of food that we grew up. So like the bulgogi cheesesteak, I'm sure a lot of Korean American families grew up on a bulgogi sandwich of some sort. You know, the Korean tacos and the burritos were inspired by my time in Los Angeles, and a lot of good taco trucks, and of course, gogi barbecue with, roy choy. So I wanted that to be part of our menu as well. Koreans have a marinated hamburger patty called tteokgalbi. We use a chuck and short rib blend, and we marinate it in our kalbi sauce. And so that was something that I'm really proud of, is our kalbi burger.
I'm a big fan of their menu, especially their kalbi burrito. Packed with kalbi, garlic onion rice, beans, cheese, pico, guac, crema, and kimchi. This is a damn good burrito, and it's my usual go-to order here. And their traditional Korean plates are great. The meats are always marinated well, and their fried chicken is some of the best you can find in the area. Mama Chos is also well known for their Oakland cut kalbi.
In the wholesale business, we cut a lot of short ribs for restaurants, and you cut the short ribs horizontally so that you get the 3-bone, thin cut short rib, and that's called LA kalbi. And so the end pieces, there's a lot of fatty pieces on the top, and my dad realized that there's a lot of good meat in between the bones. And so that's a cut that actually my dad came up with. We decided to call it Oakland kalbi because when my parents first immigrated to America, they lived in Oakland, and they've been serving a church and community out there for over 47 years. We started sharing it with friends and family. They're like, hey, what's that? And then they would like call me or text me like, hey, can I order some of that for 4th of July? And so it has become our most popular cut over time, and you won't find that anywhere else.
Right.
Mama Chos has been one of my go-tos for the last few years now, ushering in a new wave of Asian American restaurants and businesses into Castro Valley. There's a lot of amazing Asian American cuisine in the Bay Area, and I was only able to highlight some of my favorites in this video. There's a few spots in the Bay that have been doing this for a while now, like Koja Kitchen and Senor Sisig. Originally food trucks, they've grown in the Bay and have more permanent fixtures now, and are still putting out great food. And kinda hidden throughout the Bay, you can find spots like Judabu, a small banchan shop really pushing on what banchan can be using local California produce. Truly amazing stuff. Anytime I make Korean food at home now, I try to stop by to grab some fresh banchan from Judabu first to go with my meals. And there's Joe's Modern Thai, Four Kings, Mr. Juice, Viridian, the list goes on. And even with home cook friends, there's some really cool stuff going on. Harry with Tableside Pizza has been cooking up homemade pizzas with an Asian American flair, taking inspiration from very nostalgic Asian dishes. The pies are awesome, and he just started doing monthly pizza drops, so follow him on Instagram to get on his list. And of course, in my own kitchen, where I'm constantly trying to marry elements of my favorite Asian dishes with other foods I love, like some smoked char siu spare ribs, brisket banh mi's, or this galbi inspired quesadilla taco I made recently. Sweet, savory, smoky, delicious stuff. Whether it's fusing two types of cuisines together or using non-traditional ingredients and techniques, it's first understanding and appreciating the original recipes first. You can't just throw any Asian meat into a taco or a sandwich and make it work. There has to be some respect shown and true appreciation for the recipes themselves. Thanks for watching this episode highlighting Asian American food in the Bay, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.